Baha'u'llah brought teachings and laws that are required and necessary for the development of society today. Dismissed out of hand by world leaders, which it was first enunciated over 160 years ago, is now become the focus of human hope. Equally inescapable is the collapse of moral and social orders, which that same declaration foresaw with awesome clarity. These letters and tablets of Baha'u'llah to all the kings and rulers of the world were described by Abdu'l-Baha as miracles. It was a miracle for these tablets to reach all who were addressed to. And it is a miracle because the deliverer of these tablets often end up dead, as it happened to young Badi, who delivered the tablets of Baha'u'llah to Nasiruddin Shah, the king of Persia. They beat him up and torture him. They even pour hot lead into his throat, burned his inside alive, and they finally killed him by crushing his skull with a ball of iron. One of those leaders that Baha'u'llah wrote to is Her Majesty Queen Victoria of England, who replied favorably to Baha'u'llah's tablets. And she said, "If this is of God, it will endure. But if not, it can do no harm." Her granddaughter, Queen Marie of Romania, is the first of the two royals that embraced the teaching of Baha'u'llah during their reign. She paid a wonderful tribute to the teachings of Baha'u'llah. Her tribute was published in the Philadelphia Evening Bulletin and the Toronto Daily Times during Her Majesty's visit to America and Canada, which she said, "A woman brought me a book. I spelled it in capital letters because it is a wonderful book of love and goodness, strength and power. I commend it to you all. If ever the name of Baha'u'llah and Abdu'l-Baha comes to your attention, do not put their writings from you. Search out their books and let their peace-bringing, love-creating words and lessons sink into your hearts as they have into mine. One's busy life is too full for religion, and one's religion may satisfy, but the teaching of these love and great gentlemen are compatible with all religions and of no religions. Seek them and be the happier." The other royal that embraced the Baha'i faith during his reign is the King of Samoa. His Royal Highness King Malietoa Tanumafili II. he make arrangement in a traditional way and officially for him to accept the writings of Baha'u'llah in the same manner that his forefather Maliatoa Vainu Po first received the Christianity in 1830s. His daughter, Her Royal Highness Princess Toa Tosi Maliatoa, also accepted the Baha'i faith. She is a staunch promoter of the teachings of Baha'u'llah to his beloved people. She constantly reminded her people that the promised return of Lord Jesus Christ is fulfilled in the coming of the blessed beauty, His Holiness, Baha'u'llah. One of those leaders that Baha'u'llah wrote to is the President of the Great Republic of the West. That is the President of the United States of America. And he described the greatness of that nation and said the importance of that nation and explained that the destiny of America is to bring peace and unity into the world, and they will lead the world spiritually. But the destiny of America is realized from the ruins of troubles, of agitations and difficulties and tests that will afflict that nation. These troubled times is explained by Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the Baha'i faith, in his letter to the American believers in 1940s, which I'm going to read it out. The creative energies mysteriously generated by the first stirring of the embryonic world order of Baha'u'llah have, as soon as released within a nation destined to become its cradle and champion, endowed that nation with the worthiness and invested it with the powers and capacities and equipped it spiritually to play the part foreshadowed in these prophetic words. The potency which this God-given mission has infused into its people are, on the one hand, beginning to be manifested through the conscious efforts and nationwide accomplishment in both the teaching and administrative spheres of Baha'i activity, of the organized community of the followers of Baha'u'llah in the North American continent. These same potencies, apart from yet collateral, and with these efforts and accomplishments are, on the other hand, insensibly shaping, under the impact of world political and economic forces, the destiny of that nation, and are influencing the lives and actions of both its government and its people. The world is moving on. Its events are unfolding ominously and with bewildering rapidity. The whirlwind of its passion is swift and alarmingly violent. The New World is being insensibly drawn into its vortex. The potential storm centers of the earth are already casting their shadows upon its shores. Dangers undreamt of and unpredictable threaten it from both from within and from without. Its governments and peoples are being gradually enmeshed in the coils of the world recurrent crises and fierce controversies. The Atlantic and Pacific Oceans are with every exhilaration in a march of science, steadily shrinking into mere channels. The great republic of the West finds itself particularly and increasingly involved. Distant rumblings echo menacingly in the ebullitions of its people. On its flanks are ranged the potential storm centers of the European continent and of the Far East. On its southern horizon, there looms what might conceivably develop into another center of agitation and danger. The world is contracting to a neighborhood. America, willingly or unwillingly, must face and grapple with this new situation. For purposes of national security, let alone any humanitarian motive, she must assume the obligation imposed by this newly created neighborhood. Paradoxical as it may seem, her only hope of extricating herself from the perils gathering around her is to become entangled in that very web of international association which the hand of an inscrutable providence is weaving. Abdu'l-Baha's counsel to a highly placed official in his government comes to mind with peculiar appropriateness and force. Quote, "You can best serve your country if you strive in your capacity as a citizen of the world to assist in the eventual application of the principle of federalism, underlying the government of your own country to the relationship now existing between the peoples and nations of the world." End of quote. The ideals that fired the imaginations of America's tragically unappreciated president. This is President Woodrow Wilson, whose high endeavors, however much nullified by a visionless generation, Abdu'l-Baha through his own pen acclaimed as signalizing the dawn of the most great peace, though now lying in the dust, bitterly reproached a heedless generation for having so cruelly abandoned them. And I conclude with these words of Abdu'l-Baha about this great nation of America, stated by Shoghi Effendi in that same letter. One more word in conclusion. Among some of the most momentous and thought-provoking pronouncement ever made by Abdu'l-Baha in the course of his epoch-making travels in the North American continent are the following. May this American democracy be the first nation to establish the foundation of international agreement. May it be the first nation to proclaim the unity of mankind. May it be the first to unfurl the standard of the most great peace. And again, the American people are indeed worthy of being the first to build the tabernacle of the great peace. and proclaim the oneness of mankind. For America have developed powers and capacities greater and more wonderful than other nations. The American nation is equipped and empowered to accomplish that which adorn the pages of history, to become the envy of the world and be blessed with both the East and the West for the triumph of its people. The American continent gives signs and evidences of very great advancement. Its future is even more promising, for its influence and illuminations are far-reaching. It will lead all nations spiritually. Thank you, and I wish you well. Whaftai lava, manuela whafongfo mai ngala whasau Samoa, soi fua.